Thank you so much, Erin, and thank you for having your cat represent the shark kitten, who is also featured in Nearly Identical Sharks, but could not be here with me today. So thank you, Luna, for standing in for Shark. Also, thank you so much, Erin, for your really thoughtful edits. It is an incredible gift to receive notes on a manuscript and have an editor say, hey, I noticed you had this running joke, and I think there's an opportunity that you could include it in this poem by changing this one word, and it would connect to these 3 other poems. I think that's just incredible reading and thoughtfulness, and really further elevates the quality of my work. Whatever it was, you have made it better. Thank you. And thank everyone at Broken Sleep Books for the cover, the production, the promotion. It's been a joy. And as Erin says, I'm prolific, so I've gotten around with a few publishers. I mean what I say. I know what I say. Now on to the Nearly Identical Sharks. I'm going to start off with a poem titled The Hunting of the Shark, after the Emperor of All Maladies, because it pretty much sums up what was going on for me in 2016, which was my mother was just diagnosed with terminal cancer. I had just failed out of a PhD program, and everybody was saying, okay, sucks that the PhD isn't happening, but now you can go home and take care of your mother, because that's what daughters do. They take care of their family. And I went back to America and I saw my mother, and I saw a friend of hers, a friend of the family. And she took me aside and sat me down, and she goes, "You're going back to graduate school." And I went, what? Excuse me? And she's going, "You have to go back and get your degree, because your mother is going to be fine. I will take care of her. Other people will take care of her. You can come visit her and make sure that she's okay, but you are going back to school. You are going back to your career. You're going to be a writer. And I am telling you, this is happening right now." And she said it with a tremendous amount of force and authority. She might have a doctorate. She might have been on the internal review board at a local hospital. She might be the kind of person that really terrifies other people in certain parts of America. And she absolutely believed in me and overpowered me. And I promptly went back to grad school, a different PhD program. And I spent a lot of time trying to figure out not only how to live with my mother's cancer, but also how to live with this incredibly powerful woman who had inserted herself into our lives. And I often describe her as being a witch, because she was highly educated and highly powerful, and a little bit bewitching to me and my mother. And one of the things that she did was she actually heckled the author of The Emperor of All Maladies, which is otherwise known as the Cancer Bible. So without any more talking from me, one on and on and on and on and on and on and automaton. Sarcoma means to become fleshy from flesh. See neoplasm in the common fowl for the tumor composed of soup of chicken insides as cells inside nucleuses. Between virus genes and normal genes, scientists found nearly no difference. Then the scientists found nearly identical sharks in sheep and geese cells. Scientists found an oncogene. Then the scientists found nearly identical sharks in pheasants and turkeys' cells. Then the scientists found nearly identical sharks in ducks and cows' cells. Then the scientists found nearly identical sharks in newborn emu cells, because they were only brave enough to biopsy a baby. Then the scientists found nearly identical sharks in mice and quail cells. Then the scientists found nearly identical sharks in fish and white rabbit cells. Then the scientists found nearly identical sharks in human cells. And I wanted to write about sharks instead of sarcomas, because I thought nobody really knows what sarcoma means or what the sarc oncogene means, but everybody knows what a shark does. They're predators. They consume you. That's the big fear, getting eaten by a shark. One of the beaches in the town that I grew up in was closed for 2 hours this morning because of a confirmed shark fin sighting. And so in many ways, sharks stand in for our fear of cancer and being consumed by cancer. And due to climate change, sharks are showing up in unusual places. Oviparity. Materialization, rough and leathery, and horns at the four corners. Black collagen back see-through here through the egg case, cartilaginous. Us of the ragiforms fish, no microscope, no bones inside the mermaid's purse. Outline in the sun. Eye the rack line where the high tide deposits seaweed. Here are rays, near lay, identical sharks. Red lizard. Blind lizard's leg of hell broth, boil and bubble, toil and trouble. If you give a witch an office of her own, she may hang her scaled reptiles above the door. Perhaps the lizards remind her of her commitment to oviparity, to carry her young witches as far as she can. Her lizards are old. Their backs are brittle with little time left to gravity. She doesn't mind the blind reptiles, the legs lost to the door frame, the dry and faded tails. They regenerate bright blue, green, light blue, and red tails. The lizards are a part of the dust on the bottoms of the young witches sitting and waiting at her door. Her dried reptiles remind her of true autonomy waiting in the laboratory. Standing under the lizards is the definition of liminal. And indeed, it was absolutely a terrifying office door to stand in front of. And it never got to be less terrifying, no matter how much older I got. I still have dreams about going to knock on that door, because it was really terrifying if the door was closed. Lab examination. Love her recipes, full of troubles, like a hell broth, boils and bubbles. She teaches that it is chemicals, not turtles, all the way down. I make molecules productively during daytime, translates to introduction, in reaction, mechanism, procedure with reference, diagrams of apparatus, data and observations. Her labor read her story. She turned her body into a cauldron toward collaboration. The beauty of the hedgehog is the body of the problem. Her research embodies the problem. Taxol is always the answer. Paint thinner or blood thinner, potion or poison, halogenated or non-halogenated waste. If you get the answer to this one wrong, the trash can will explode. Trust me, I had to do a whole safety training course for this one. Rats or mice or meese, because geese made a mess of the chocolate and she left in our exam papers. If you didn't want to go to medical school or you didn't study the sciences, you might not know that in America, organic chemistry is the big gatekeeping course that lots of students take and very few pass so that they can move on to medical school or complete a degree in chemistry or biology. So it is powerful and terrifying. And I am sure that some organic chemistry students have thought that their instructor was a witch or something worse. Withers. Overflowing well, she was the bellwether hill. If life in winter did grandmother all these storms, the oyster river, or yet frightening nurses. The hag god nurses tell the scientists draw well the merry river, or yet lighting the big hill. inimical storms, ancestor, horse, and winter. Nuclear winter, here to the unknown nurses, gallop mountain storms, piling the wool blankets well into a shawl hill. The witch gives mist the river, nuclear river, neat as sugar in winter. The galloping hill scallops the hag god nurses, experiment well through the muscle and the storms. If following storms, devils or plastic river is traveling well through diminutive winter, protection nurses, the hospital means the hill. To the pilgrim hill, she herds dear these mountain storms, hormones and nurses. The hag god rushes the river, harvest in winter. Well, 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 well. To be driven to the hill, the saline river, follows storms as the fairy wife fights in winter, springing the nurses as clear or following well. If you speak Welsh, you might have figured out the name of the hospital in America. I don't know if it will work in Cornish. I'm really sorry. And I'm going to finish up with the future of tattoos. Trouble, trouble, oil of cloves, boiling it burns and brings cauldron bubbles. Here's the hematology of tattoo ink. Predispersed or pigments made of rust, metal salts, and plastics plus water, sometimes ethanol to dissolve. The heavy metal I fear most is mercury because it is a nightmare to clean up in laboratory. Carbon black ink is the simplest, reads safest. Wash the thinking skin with the astringent witch hazel. Remember that witch hazel, like cloves, contains eugenol. Air dry, apply Vaseline, and do not touch. Poison ivy gave birth to a litter of kittens containing witch hazel and adopted roadkill. The big cat loves milk of oats. The lion at the door lives happily without a salivary gland and sweeps the snow from the steps. Witch and broom collapse to psycho bitch, my familiar tiger cat. My flying sofa, my tattoo to her brand. There is a trash bag of ribbons we won in the hall closet. My baby green horse is now an old nag and dust gathers on the medal I gave to guardian angel. You gave me something to exchange. Thank you very much.